This is the Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Show. I'm your host, once again, Coach James Lewis, doing all things middle school athletics. I picked up the badminton job. They can't keep me away. So I'll be going for the county championship in badminton, putting together a crew.
Is that a club sport?
No, this is middle school athletics.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm year round. Badminton, then goes to basketball, and of course the passion, and then track and field, which I enjoy a lot. Track and field is really dope. You have to be really methodical about your lineups to get the most points. So track and field is dope. I am kind of like the NBA draft specialist of the B-ball team, and I'm cooking something up with a way too early 2022 mock draft. So check that out when it drops. It's coming sometime soon. The team is off. There's things going on. Life is happening. But I do have a special guest here, the man, legend himself. We welcome a former 2005 Maryland 4A state championship runner-up, playing for his Blake Bengals, founder of Metro Know Me Music, and the Sports Freaks pod, the manager, producer, engineer himself, Theo Josephs, or as most people know him as MixedByTweeze. Bro, what's going on? How is it making music with big time come up artists like Glow Glizzy and NBA Youngboy? Like, it seems like you're busy and in the lifestyle that you live, you have sleepless nights and the grind never kind of ends.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I asked for, man. This is what I signed up for, to kind of lock in and full immersion into the arts and creativity, and it's exactly what I'm asking for. So I'm happy.
Awesome. What's up? I'll talk about Benbo cooking up. You will hear him later in our overlay at the end of the pod, and every pod, as he is the voice of the Triple Play Fantasy Anthem. How's he going? How's he doing?
Man, Ben is good. He actually just dropped another music video called "Come On." It's out on YouTube. You can check that out right now. When we shot that out in Vegas, good visual, good times, fun stuff.
Wasn't he out Ocean City, Maryland?
Yeah. That video is out also as well too. He was out Ocean City. He does a lot of traveling, getting the music out and getting the work done.
That's dope, man. The kid is clearly grinding, and he's building quite a following locally, but who knows, this might blow up to be a national thing coming soon. So shout out Benbo.
Yes.
Benbo. Let's talk a little news and notes, and the biggest news and notes is Ben Simmons right now. He's not reporting to camp. That was kind of talked about, that he didn't really want to come back, but now he's refusing meetups. People are taking flights to go see him, and he says, no, I don't even want to talk to you. So what's wrong with Ben Simmons? And we'll talk about some places that he might find his talents going to. But, this is an ongoing topic, and definitely the most pivotal story going into the season when, Philadelphia has championship aspirations. They were a team that was number one in the East last year, and a couple bad breaks and a couple bad bricks away from getting to the NBA Finals. What do they do with Ben Simmons, and what's your take on him? Like, he's got 3 years left on his contract, and he's telling him, no, I'm not even going to show up. Sorry, Doc.
Basically, my thing with Ben is, I actually understand where he's coming from. This is one of those things where I understand both sides. Is you have an obligation to play for the team that you signed the contract for. So I'm not really happy that I don't want to have this trend start where it's like, I signed to this team and it's like, oh, I don't like you here, I'm out. I don't care.
And not to cut you off, but I think that's the trend. Now is go get your money with the place that you're playing, and if you don't like it, you can request a trade. We've seen it. The last 5 big names have all done this same thing, and then you don't see people in free agency. Free agency is almost dead because everyone signs contracts with teams, knowing that, hey, if it's not going well, I can request a trade.
Yeah, it's like, so we want to empower the players, so that part is cool.
Yep.
The other thing is that what about the fans in the city? In this case, I kind of completely understand, because it's like, if I'm a player, I'm still a human being. right? So if in the place that my coach, my franchise, and I feel like they're just doubling back to try and clear everything up. They quit on me. They canceled it. So let's not pretend. And I think Ben is just, maybe it's even spiteful a little bit, but he doesn't care about their end of figuring this out at this point because he felt like they, hung him out to dry.
Yeah, and we're talking about a player that's in the prime of his career. He just turned 25, so you won't find him on the top 10, 25 and under list anymore. He's moved past that. But as we can see, he fills up the stat sheet. He provides every component to the game outside of the shooting. I mean, he shoots 56% from the field, but obviously his debacle in the playoffs from the free throw line, which was clearly in his head. But this guy was the runner-up in the Defensive Player of the Year, as he should. And is probably the most versatile defender that we have in this NBA. And the way he runs the break, his passing ability, we are all kind of hoping he gets a fresh look. And what do the 76ers get in return? Because they have a player in his prime, Joel Embiid, who finished runner-up in the MVP, and they do have championship aspirations. With a killer like Embiid, if he's healthy, you just need somebody else. So what destination do you think one is best for Ben, but two, the best return that the Sixers can get? And I'm going to throw out some team names that have been rumored. The Cavaliers, who have talent to display and send out. The Blazers, which you might get the biggest name player coming from Portland. The Pacers, which sneaky to me, I think they could have a really good package that I would be very interested if I'm Philadelphia. The Spurs, the Warriors, although their owner says that it's not a good fit with Draymond as he gets a little too involved as an owner. We've seen that time and time before. The Raptors, who have been heavily speculated this entire time, and the Kings. They all have assets to give up. It just depends on what does Philadelphia want to do. They wanted to build his stock up a little bit more by having him play, but him clearly not even showing up. They got to make this move before the season starts.
Yeah, for sure.
In a couple weeks.
So looking at those, even thinking about those lists of teams, I'd love to see him in Golden State. Just because I feel like the culture and the way that they accept players, ingratiate people into their system, I think that would be good for him, confidence-wise. I think that even the spacing, I've always thought that he could see a different level of success if a team was actually functionally made for him to operate, not just using his talent and, to the best of its ability to go with a team, but a team made around him. I think we would see more of him being able to create for other people, and then also take advantage of the space that he can create for himself just by being 6'10" and having that speed and that strength.
I think it puts the Warriors over the edge. I mean, I think it would change the narrative on Ben Simmons. He wouldn't have a focal point to produce anything outside of offensively, outside of running the break, making the right pass. It is not a great fit with Draymond, but I mean, you got snipers around like Clay. Hopefully, he gets back to somewhat of his former self, and Steph, who's playing his best basketball of his career. We saw that last year. I know he wasn't unanimous MVP, but what he's doing last year is just bananas. They have everything else, but I don't know if Philadelphia would really want some of these young guys, since they're in a win now too mode. So I don't know if they want that package, even though we all know that the Warriors, if they're going to go a trade, they have some of the most valuable pieces to a team. More so on a team on a rebuild though, but like grabbing Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, whoever else out there, like that's very intriguing for a team that's still in a rebuild. But like we said, Philadelphia is in a win now situation.
And then the other look is, like you said, the biggest name could come from Portland. So I could see, if I'm Philly now, that might be the best look for me, to just get someone established. Like, if you say we're win now, let's go and get CJ McCollum for 3 years and get surrounded with a couple of draft picks and see if we can't take a more properly suited team in terms of what we would need for Joel Embiid and to complement that. And
we know Morey really wants Dame as if that would be the perfect scenario. And honestly, if I'm Portland, I think about that. Like, I know that it would be, I wouldn't have the nuts to pull the trigger and trade Damian Lillard, a future Hall of Famer, if he didn't play another game in the NBA. But I I I also see that the Blazers are kind of in limbo. Like they're not a championship contending team. They're gonna make the playoffs. We know who they are, but if you have Ben, he's actually a good fit with CJ. But no, Philly just CJ is tough. CJ is a bucket, and he's clutch. Like him in the pick and roll with Embiid, with Curry in the corner. Like Curry was actually doing the pick and roll very well, but like we all know he's one of the best shooters in the entire NBA. Yeah, I'm talking about Steph Curry, not Steph, but CJ's been a name in trade speculations for years and years and years, and we've seen like him and Dame, they're good together, but it's not a championship combination. So CJ is a super option here.
Yep, I think that a lot has just been. I know it's a lot of recency bias with this idea of Ben. It's like he just played well in the playoffs not too long ago. I know he had a poor playoff series that just recently, but you can't change the fact that he is literally the most versatile defender in the NBA. And we look and we see that these teams that we're discussing, most of those teams lack perimeter defense. They lack that Swiss Army knife, minus Golden State, who has Draymond, but they have a chance to rejuvenate that position for their team. They have a chance to start that position over for their team in a new evolved way. And he can learn from the best if they're able to can get him in some way and still maintain having Draymond. That would be cool.
A couple other teams I want to touch on. The Kings have been speculated in here, but they said that their star guards and De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton are off the table. Now, if I'm the Kings, I'll definitely think about it. I love Halliburton. And I think he would be a perfect fit over there in Philadelphia with any team. I think Halliburton can play with anybody because
he got that kind of game. Yeah,
he's just such an efficient player, and what he does with the ball in his hands and off of the ball is spectacular. But Barnes and Buddy are still on the team. Like Buddy Hield, a sniper, and then Harrison Barnes are championship pedigree. You're in a win now position that when you trade your point guard though. That would still be a need, and Morey would still need to make another move. But I think that they have enough pieces to do that to get. And then there's the point guard position is the strongest it's ever been in the NBA. It just keeps getting better every single year. And then now we got Cade Cunningham coming in this year. So what do you think about the Kings possibility there? And then you got Davion Mitchell. So you have some.
You didn't say that Davion was off the table.
He's a win now player right now. I know that's a rookie, but this kid, like they won a summer league because of him. He was a summer league MVP, and he just came fresh off the NCAA championship. Kid's a winner, and he's a strapper.
There you go. Defensive intensity. He brings some of that because I think
he can shoot the three.
I think that Philly is really, 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 really well. Philly fans, I should say, are generally underrating how much defense is going to leave with Ben when he leaves. I think they're really underrating that. So I think it's important for them to get a little bit of that in the deal. That's why in the Portland deal, it was cool to get, if they can get CJ and Rocco, that makes sense. They got to get Rocco over there, get Rocco back, get that little defensive core back together. But if you get a deal with Sacramento where you get Buddy Hield and Davion?
Buddy Hield, Davion Mitchell, and Harrison Barnes. Do you say yes? So I mean, that's one of the top of my list. I'm like,
if I'm Philadelphia, that's at the top of my list.
That shit look good.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, all right, so I want to put a sneaky team in there because I think that this player to me is the most underrated player in the entire NBA, and that's the Indiana Pacers and Malcolm Brogdon. To me, Malcolm Brogdon is a straight winner. He's efficiency personified. He can defend. He's a dynamo in the pick and roll, and he steps up in the playoffs. That's where he has his best performances. You give me Brogdon and LeVert? What? And why wouldn't you do that if I'm the Pacers? I mean, like you can get to see what Ben Simmons and Sabonis and Miles Turner look like together. Like defensively, are you kidding me? Like I don't know. Like,
crazy, but it takes you back an era. You become the three big man team. But in that defense of that, the champions that we've seen have dominated in the paint, and they have had a good solid rotation of at least three formidable big men. And that's the past couple champs we've seen. So with that being said, going against the league trend of champions is bigger.
And so what if you had one of these packages? What would you do? We didn't even talk about the Raptors and Fred VanVleet, which I would look at as well. But what would you press yes in the trade machine to? What's your best package that you're looking at?
The best package so far is I'm thinking about a package from Sacramento. It's probably the best package that you can get in terms of handling all of the things and all of your needs. The safety package, I think, though, is the Portland package. If you can get CJ McCollum and Rocco and then maybe a draft pick or something, it's just a safety package. It's not the biggest explosion, but at the end of the day, you know what CJ is going to do and you know what Rocco's going to do. Well, you don't know what he's going to shoot, but you know what he's going to do on defense.
Yes. And for me, like I said, I would if I can get LeVert and Brogdon, I'd do that in a heartbeat because I just I think that fares well, that plays well. But and the Sacramento package with Mitchell, Barnes, and Buddy, I just think that they need a little bit more playmaking for that to fully work. But those are three great pieces. And we spent a lot of time here on Ben Simmons. I did want to touch on the fact that I think it's a little pretentious of Ben Simmons, and I question his character a little bit as far as commitment to a team. We saw this in college at LSU. He stopped going to classes, and coach was, talked about it openly, like, we need you to come. And I don't know. He's like, I'm going to be number one pick anyways, which is true. But I just feel like because he's been tailor-made to be the next LeBron or just this future NBA star going number one overall, and he's just reeks in talent, I think that it's gone to his head a little bit. I don't think character-wise, he doesn't have a demeanor to get better, or he doesn't have the winning tools. I saw him down the stretch for LSU in the tournament. It didn't perform well, and now we just saw it in the playoffs. I think that the question marks are warranted, though, on whether Ben Simmons is the guy that you want to lead. So you're going to have other pieces around for it to work perfectly. And I think they missed out when they prioritized Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, because I think that could have been a wrap. Or if LeBron would have went there, LeBron could have gone to Philadelphia in that offseason. I think they came in second place over the Lakers, but he decided to do his own thing. Yeah. So let's talk a little Bron, huh? NBARank came out this week, and I don't know why it's such a pivotal thing that people pay attention to, but every year they come out with a list of the top 100 players in the NBA. The NFL does the same thing, and these lists take over the news for a whole week. And so our top 5 was announced. KD being 1, Giannis 2, LeBron goes from 1 to 3. And then you got Luka in the 4 spot, which he was in the 4 spot last year, and Steph moves up to 5. What's your opinions on this top 5? Is it warranted, or do you have a gripe? What's your opinion on this NBARank top 5?
Okay, so here's the thing. Run this back for me again. So who's the number 1?
KD, Giannis 2, LeBron 3, Luka 4, Steph 5.
All right. Only thing I have a problem with, right? Well, that's not the only thing. One thing I initially have a problem with is I don't understand why it's just such a given that Luka is in the top 5 and Jokic is not. That's one. And then also, I have no.
I mean, you're talking about the MVP of the league, right? Yeah.
I just don't understand. And this is it seems to become a consensus thing. This top 5 includes no Jokic and has Luka. I don't think that Luka's. I think Luka's amazing, right?
Luka hasn't been out the first round. Jokic has taken his team to the Western Conference Finals and has MVP on his belt just this past season, and that's what they do the rankings on. It's what did you do last season
without his co-star?
Yeah, and neither one of them are great defenders. So you can put up their numbers together. Look like Jokic is a dominator.
Right.
So I like that opinion, actually. I really didn't think about it because I just think that these are a clear-cut top 5, but maybe I should really recalibrate, rethink that, whether it's Jokic or Embiid. If I'm Embiid, I have a gripe as well.
Embiid's not involved? No, we understand. Well, KD, Giannis, and Steph. These are guys that are going to and of course LeBron. They're gonna be in this conversation no matter what. They're gonna circle that thing. And we understand it's because of what they've done. It's what we've experienced with them over and over again. But each year we're supposed to accept one new person that comes that is performing that's of new. And I just don't understand that the new person that we've accepted didn't get out the first round, right? And there's an MVP available to be the
He
next.
was spectacular though in his loss.
Oh, he was.
And what did you see what he did in the Olympics? Holy moly!
Wow.
Slovenia never won a game in the Olympics before. He dropped what did he drop? 49?
Yeah, he's a major impact. He's he's like a huge icon, and
I love you.
I kind of like. I imagine him having. People are going to get on me for this, but I anticipate him having a very Allen Iverson type impact for the rest of his career, though. That's what I fear.
Okay? Question: do you think that he'll ever win an NBA championship?
Not constructed in a way in which
I don't see it with
the number one
construction, but
yeah, he can be number one. I don't mean with the same team. I mean the similar construction, like the heliocentric offense running through Luka. Luka shoots. Luka's the usage rate is teetering on 37 and 38. No, I don't think he can win like that. No, I don't.
I just think that he's so young that eventually these rock like the Mavs current roster construction doesn't work out at all. But like I said, he's 23 years old. Porzingis' contract will end eventually. They will find. He's just so damn good, and he's so damn good when it matters too. I love the trajectory of Luka, but honestly, placing him at 4, I can see your gripe. Now, what I don't argue with is this top 3 as far as this NBA rank is concerned. Now, LeBron was the top spot the year before. He had just came off a Finals MVP season, and I still think that LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. I think that he faced some injuries, and that affected him. Not only him facing injuries, but AD as well. I think he bounces back with motivation this year with a little bit more time in the offseason, losing in the first round to the Suns. And I think that LeBron James claims that top number 1 spot rank as they win the championship this year. Yeah, I'm saying it right now, but this might be the last hurrah. But I don't have any gripe with what they said. Kevin Durant being 1, Giannis being 2. If Giannis was number 1, I completely understand that. The kid just won Finals MVP, dropped 50 bomb in the final game, and he's fresh off of 2 back-to-back MVPs. So he beat KD heads up. If I'm the Antetokounmpo bandwagon fan guy, I got a gripe about this, but
I have a gripe.
The truth tellers that watch basketball, we all we see that hey, KD is like the best player in the NBA. So
what I would argue, and I have this argument all the time, is that KD is hands down the most able player in the NBA. If that makes any sense. Right?
It does, and I've kind of been on the record with saying that he doesn't really make his teammates that much better. The reason why he does make them better is because he's so damn good, but it's not because of something he does on the court for them. He's gonna go get his own buckets, but Giannis is to me a better vocal leader. I saw that in those situations when it really got tough. He's in his players' faces. I loved watching that evolution that he's done, and then what he brings defensively is just. It's unreal. I mean, he's a former depoy for a reason.
When we say we're pulling strings here, we're talking about the best five people in the entire world, right?
We're talking about Hall of Famers, some of the best players. Some people think that Giannis, by the end of his career, could be the best power forward to play all time. He's coming for Tim Duncan.
The argument that I have, right, is that it sounds like a lot of recency, but the idea is that we're not talking about someone who is just having one good season. We're talking about someone who has been MVP 2 out of the last 3 seasons, depoy 1 out of those last 3 seasons, and then has dominated. Right now, we're talking about someone who not only dominated through this whole playoffs. One thing that's not spoken on a lot is that all of the people that we see on that board, right, have dealt with major injuries, minus Luka, right? But we forget that Giannis had that major injury in the playoffs before the finals. I think that just says something.
I still don't understand that. They dislocated the knee, and you come back and you. Even that first game in the finals, he had 20 and 17 boards, and then he dropped 2 40 bombs, and then finishes out with a 50 spot.
So
Like,
to me,
how bad was it? Like,
so to me, right? So to me, when we get to that point when we start discussing those things, it's hard for me to say if we're doing an NBA ranking about who's the best player. I argue, how can we not say that Giannis is the best player right now? If this
you're
was a
right.
new thing,
No,
if
you're
this is
right.
a new thing, it would be difficult.
The
Now,
eye test though says, I mean,
the
what
most
KD did.
capable. You said it
Yeah.
again, and I agree with that. The eye test is the most capable player. I mean, there's no way of getting around the fact that KD is probably minus Kyrie, Joe Johnson, and Jim Jackson. These are the prettiest games I've ever wanted to watch play. Period. It wasn't. Now, I didn't say the most effective games when we're going across the board. I said the prettiest games. All right.
Jim Jackson's also a handsome individual.
He just had to play the game. He's cool. He looks smooth when he's playing the game. He looked smooth. You know what I'm saying?
I was just pretty motherfucking busting my ass. Jim Jackson. Shout out Jim Jackson. We gotta get him on the pod.
That would be crazy.
I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out to him. All right, so we've spent some time on this top 5, and you can go any type of way. I like that whole Embiid, Jokic, and for Luka take, and then also I just wanted to sprinkle in for Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard. Anthony Davis was number 2 last year. If Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard are healthy, they're 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA as well. It's just we're in the era of basketball. We are rich with Hall of Famers playing in this game, and it has to do with attrition. It has to do with Kevin Durant and LeBron James still being this great at their ages. I'm not saying Kevin Durant is into his career is on the brink, but LeBron James is 37, and he was leading that MVP candidacy last year, right before he had that high ankle sprain. And we saw when he came back, he came back too early because he had to, and then he hurt. He re-aggravated it. He missed some games. He wasn't himself in the playoffs, and I know that people are shitting on him because he lost in the first round of the Suns. And I don't like to make injury excuses, but me watching LeBron James, it wasn't the same guy that I've seen, even just last year in 2020 in the bubble championship, which people want to take away from him as well. But I can go on the LeBron James gripe rants all damn day, but we're going to move on to some other people that feel like they got, hey, on this NBA rank, there's 100 best players in the NBA. Who got snubbed, man? Like, I got some certified bucket getters. I got a graphic right here that features Tyler Herro, DeAndre Hunter, RJ Barrett. Tweeze, who was your best player that wasn't on that top 100 list that should be hungry this season?
Of all these people, if I was the most concerned to get on the top 100, I got 2 answers, right? So RJ Barrett is probably the closest to the brink, to the border to me, right? But then Tyler Herro, he's got the most to prove. He's the one that needs to get on that list. I mean, the idea that James Harden could be in Miami and they said no because they wanted Tyler Herro, sub 100 Tyler Herro, to remain on the Miami Heat is a big thing for me. He's got to prove his worth.
It had to do with Duncan too. I mean, and they paid Duncan very handsomely.
Duncan got paid.
He got paid. But that I think that was also part of that trade and why they didn't want to go in that direction. But hey, they missed out on the Harden ordeal. We don't know how that all plays out because you don't hear all those conversations. But hey, they now have Kyle Lowry, so. I agree with you on a Tyler thing, and they got Victor Oladipo on a short contract because he has all the injury issues, and Tyler's got to fight, and I think that he has a reason to play now. I don't know if his lady recently had a baby, but I know that she was super pregnant. Like, he's about to be a father, if not he is already.
That's the cheat code.
What's that?
That's the cheat code. Anyone who has, if your wife gives birth to a baby during the season, it unlocks you.
I agree with that. And from a kid that I think has some maturity issues, but he loves the game of basketball and he's hearing everybody talk crap at him. Hey, he actually bumped his points per game up. So Tyler Herro averaged 15, 5, and 3.4 assists, and we know the type of shooter that exists in him. But people are, I guess, expecting that instead of improving his points per game by 2 in year number 2, he should have been averaging a dub.
Right.
And maybe that's right. And he didn't look as sharp as he did in the in the Eastern Conference Finals or in that bubble run like he did. And I it was a bit of a slump. But like, you gonna tell me that he ain't a top 100 Tyler Herro, the bucket getter himself? I understand a little bit why DeAndre Hunter. I'm moving on here. I understand a little bit why DeAndre Hunter was snubbed because he did have the injury. But
Right.
prior to his injury, 15, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 48% shooting. He can hit the three and he defends with the best of them. Like, he is a very elite role player, and I think it hurt ultimately Atlanta's chances. But like, also Atlanta was doing well even without him. So I can understand why he's not in based on the injury, but I think that he is a top 100 player in the NBA. What's your opinion on DeAndre before I move on with my top pick?
I think the injury definitely hurt him. I think he was on pace to get into that space. Early on was being considered as somebody who's in contention for most improved. So I think that he definitely lost out with that injury. But other than that, I think he'll be fine this year.
Man, they just picked Josh Johnson rather from Duke in the draft, and he looked very impressive in the summer league. And they're kind of loaded on that position, and we'll see what Atlanta does. And shout out to Trae Young, because everybody just all like, he gets hated on big time. And what did he do? He took his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. They beat Philly heads up, and it's because of him. So shout out that guy. I don't know what his NBA rank was, but it's probably too low.
I think he unlocked something that Luka is still waiting to unlock.
But you're not taking him over Luka, are you?
No, didn't say that.
All right, yeah, no.
I'm saying there's a joy that can be read from the players that play with Trae Young that I just haven't gotten from anybody who plays with Luka. Like,
I know he rubs people wrong. Is he, because it's all the pouting and he like Trae does a little bit of his flopping and whatever, but there is an excitement and a vigor, an enthusiasm that he plays with, a showmanship that people feed off of, and it gets the best out of the guys that he's running with.
And you hear it in the post game. You hear it in the post game discussions. And I just haven't heard that moment where people admire him, like, oh yeah, Luka's hard to guard. Oh, it was amazing. But you don't hear the same reverence that you get from Trae Young. Like, oh, I love playing with this guy. He puts me in this place. I feel good when I'm out here with him. We don't get that when we're playing with Luka.
Bro, Ben Simmons was guarding him.
You know what I'm saying?
He did not fail us. He dropped a 40 bomb on his head. Like, he was talking shit the whole time. Like, man, I love fucking Trae Young.
Yeah.
Sorry. Use my language. I usually don't do this. All right. So the main guy, RJ Barrett, man. How is he not on the list? Like, honestly, I do not understand this. He takes
99 and 100.
What's that? He's not a top 100 player.
Who was 99? No, who was 99 or 100? And 100.
I don't have that on the top of my head, but I saw Norman Powell. Is he better than Norman Powell? Yes. Norman Powell's a bucket. Like, Norman Powell's not a bad player. He's a good NBA player. He's not better than RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, points per game, 18, 6 boards, 3 assists. And guess what? He's a terrible shooter, yet he shot 40% from the three-point line last year. He improved that part of his game. This lefty can defend as well. He plays 35 minutes a game. So he doesn't miss games either. Like, Barrett is like on a low, like, he's, to me, underrated. I don't know if it has to do with the Zion thing or I don't know. Like, when they talk about the Knicks, all they do is talk about Julius Randle. They don't never talk about this kid. Like,
I think it has a lot to do with Zion. What you just said is it has a lot to do with Zion being basically
27 and 8. Yeah,
it's what Zion does, and then it forces you to compare him to Julius Randle because that is usually discussed that they're in comparison of their games. So when you bring Zion to them, you think of RJ, you think of Zion, and then you think of Julius, not RJ, which is weirdly enough because they've never been in competition in that way.
When you average 18 in the league, you're good.
Oh, he's very good. And then you got to think about the fact that he plays 35 minutes on a team that is number 1 to number 4 top defense all year.
So shout out RJ. I think he was by far the biggest snub. So we move on from some news and notes and some of these ranks to our predictions for the NBA season. And we're going to go through, we're going to talk a little MVP. We're going to talk a little rookie of the year. And then we'll slightly make our finals prediction towards the end. So we're going to start with our MVP. This is not necessarily the best player in the NBA because that would be a different award. It's most valuable player. It's still kind of like what is the criteria for the best player in the league. But most times you got to be at least top 3 seed in your conference. And so this is in the air. Jokic was a benefit as far as his health was concerned. He played every single game, and I think that gave him the nod over Joel Embiid, but he clearly deserved that MVP. He improved all of his numbers. He went from scoring 19 a game to like 26, 27. So
with a lower usage rate.
Oh, he played like 31 minutes a game with the crazy banana stats that he had last year. And who is your choice this year? On the graphic pictured, I got Luka, Steph, LeBron, KD, CP3, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic. These are some of your favorites come in Vegas for the MVP. And again, it's not necessarily the best player in the league award, but this is the MVP award. Who is your selection for 2021, 2022 season?
I think that there was a lot of voter fatigue, and the reason that Jokic was able to get the W as well, because I think if there wasn't voter fatigue, I think Giannis really competes to have another chance to win the MVP of the regular season that just happened last year.
I agree. I think that it was so undervalued even what he did last year because of his numbers dipping just slightly, marginally from the year before.
Right, and that's with 2 MVPs, so they're tired of voting for him. We see the same thing happen too.
They also though they did dip as far as their standing. They finished 3rd. They had been number 1 seeds the 2 prior years. So I understood why he didn't win, but I also the entire year he never was talked about in the race when he was a clear top 5 guy the entire year.
Right, because the Nuggets finished what, 3rd, 4th?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, if we're just comparing to just the winner, at least he was in contention that way. But
they finished 3rd.
Right. So I would say, but really, so that's kind of like my dark horse. And then I really think that Steph has a big chance to win MVP next year. I think he has a lot going on there. If they can figure out how to become formidable and become a
top 4, they go top 4 teams. I mean, you got Utah, Phoenix, LA. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot of teams out west, including Denver. But if they can get in the top 4, I agree with you. I think that Steph could be in that picture. I think last year, if they were winning, he would have been a super contention, leading the league in scoring and just doing what he was doing. But
and then it's about the look. It's about the story, right? So half these races, the story, and he's benefited in this race and this idea the best with someone who complements him, who doesn't take up MVP counts, right? So he has probably the best support.
That's such a good point. I like that. Go ahead.
So he's got Clay, he's got all these supporters that will never be considered MVP. So it doesn't take away from him. Whereas everybody else on this picture, if someone else plays well enough for them to have a good season, they will be considered an MVP candidate, maybe for the exception of Luka.
I think that the Russell Westbrook takes away from LeBron James's chances.
For sure.
Because we're talking about a kid that averages, 12 rebounds and 12 assists. He's gonna take that usage away from LeBron. He's gonna take rebounds away from LeBron. LeBron just led the league in assists 2 years ago, which I thought he should have won the MVP 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take away from his numbers. And I would have loved this might be, LeBron's last chance. And, he's sitting at 4 and that Michael Jordan guy, he's got some more. He's sitting at 5, and I don't think he'll ever catch him.
I don't think he has a chance.
Unfortunately. And then the Michael Jordan guys can always rep on that. But I know in the intro it says Coach Lewis thinks LeBron's better than MJ. That's kind of misquoted. I'm just going to put that on record. I said we can evaluate this when their careers are over, and I'm going to leave it at that.
KD is probably least likely to win MVP on the list besides CP3.
Interesting, because he's one of my favorites to get it.
See, and the reason I think so is because what we discussed earlier, right? So I'm not of the opinion that I don't like saying that KD doesn't help his teammates, right? But I'd say that his impact is more dependent on an unstoppable force, right? We know that we can't do anything about KD. So you double team him in little clutch moments, but you generally don't change your approach for KD because what are you going to do? He's going to dribble there and shoot. Whereas though the force of Giannis, the force of Steph, the force of even Joel Embiid, it just has a different impact that looks more MVP-like. And I think, well, without one of the most weighted players on your team, James Harden has that force.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think James takes away a lot from his, and that's why I said at the beginning when you made that point. I think James's usage and his just elite playmaking and everything else that he does for that Brooklyn Nets team, as well as Kyrie Irving, who was just a top 3 All NBA player. Like he is lights out. And I think he maybe had his career high in points per game, averaging 27 last year. They're so loaded with talent that that might take away. Plus, KD gets fringe injuries. Like, let's be honest, he's not an 82 a game guy, which is also an underrated thing that Michael Jordan did like 8-9 times. He's so damn good. I think Luka is going to get multiple MVPs in his career. It's just not going to happen yet. His team's not good enough. They're not going to win enough games for him to legitimately have a chance here. I think Joel Embiid has a chance, but we have to see what shakes out with this Ben Simmons thing. Jokic could go back to back, but my pick, and I don't know if you had a formal what your top pick is, but I think Giannis comes back and he wins league MVP. I think the Bucks will be a top 2 team. I think they'll probably finish 2 behind Brooklyn, and I think that might be enough because we all know that Middleton and Drew Holiday, hey, they understand their roles, that they're superior role players in this NBA. I mean, all-star, probably all-stars this coming season, but give me Giannis to take it back. And he can say LeBron James is still the best player in the league and KD's better than me and do all these mind games, but like, he's coming. The kid is coming.
Look, the thing is, and just like we discussed, I said that his names are not big enough to be in the MVP race, right? They're just not better than Clay. That's it. So I mentioned Clay is the best supporter that's not going to be MVP, but he has supporters that are not going to be MVP.
Yeah, we'll see what this Wiggins situation plays out in Golden State, because this is worrisome. The fact that he's not willing to take the vaccine, and in the state of California it's required from those teams. Does he not play basketball at home? Like, I don't know. They really have to figure that situation out. Also, he's got the contract that matches up with other teams as far as if the Warriors wanted to pull the trigger on a trade. And that's like a huge trade.
But that kind of brings Ben back into the fold. Not to circle back to the beginning, but that brings Ben back into the fold. You know what I mean? Because now you do have a perimeter player to offer in the deal. You do have.
Yeah, but I'm Philly. I don't want Wiggins. And the young guys, like, that's not cool to me. That's not enough. Like, for me to like, oh, I wanted that instead of like CJ that we talked about. Like,
yeah, that's that surefire. You're getting that good 20 piece every night.
Man. So MVP, we've talked about it again. Injuries really affected this race last year, and we hope that with some time off that the league gets a little bit better with its health. I've never seen an injury-riddled playoffs like I did last year, and it's because they scrambled 2 seasons together and an Olympics because of the pandemic with the time off. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll get back to a little bit of a normal schedule as far as that's concerned. But we move on from talking about some vets, some of our best players in the league, to maybe some future superstars. And I wanted your opinion on who you think is going to be the rookie of the year.
Roy. The Roy is going to be
the Roy.
Jalen.
Shout out Brandon Roy.
Green.
Oh, certified bucket getter supreme.
So
why you got Jalen?
Because he reminds me of, right, and this is, I might ever talk about how I don't like to compare the new players to the old players, because he reminds me of immediate evolution of Ja Morant. He reminds me of the exact same kind of build, the same kind of athletic ability, the same kind of winner kind of competitor attitude that he brings, as we saw him playing against grown men. And then he added this sharpshooter ability to that package. And I think that is dangerous. I think that in Houston, he will have the space and the time and the ability. I think they're making room for him by agreeing to get rid of John Wall and ship him out. So I think he's just on pace to have a very Andrew Wiggins, not Wiggins, Andrew. Geez, I always do this to this guy, and I really love his game too.
He definitely has the green light here.
Anthony Edwards, right? It reminds me of Anthony Edwards last year, right? And if
I would compare this season is going to be a lot like Anthony Edwards too. I think I see him averaging a dub or close to it. I think Anthony Edwards was slightly under 20. I think he's not afraid to fill it up, and with Kevin Porter Jr. as your starting point guard, and him as your starting two guard, they've come out, and you have John Wall and Eric Gordon on the bench, two high player name, but they've announced that they're going with the young guys, and they have some really good players in Şengün and Josh Christopher. They got some young talent there. I don't think that they win enough games for him to win Rookie of the Year. I see this kind of playing out like last year. Albeit without the injury. My guy that I'm taking is Cade Cunningham. I think he makes an immediate impact on winning in Detroit, and they have the biggest turnaround as far as the record is concerned. We'll see what the Rockets do, because both of them were god awful last year. But I love me some Cade. What's that?
Detroit's in the East, right?
Yeah, and I love me some Cade Cunningham. I think they have an outside chance that they possibly could get that 10 seed, much like LaMelo Ball impacted winning with the Hornets. And I think that he is the better player, but I think that Jalen Green is an immediate bucket getter. The way that he creates the space with his step backs and that evolution, because that was a question mark all through his high school career, is whether he can be able to shoot the three. I think that we're looking at like a little Zach LaVine, but like a couple years more maturated by the time that Zach LaVine came into the league. This guy's a bucket getter supreme.
I'm excited to see the advantages of the experience of playing against grown men in the G League versus the college. I think that's going to show up. I think that
Cade is made. His body is already made for it. He's 6'8", 220. Like Jalen Green is kind of frail.
Cade is a machine. Cade is a machine, right? And I think that my bias in this situation comes from Cade. Even though I love watching him in college, he never blew my socks off. I think I heard too much about what he's capable of doing, what he's able to do versus what I thought was gonna, transpire. He had his moments.
He averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 40% from the 3-point line, 85 from the 40% from the 3-point line, 85 from the free throw line, 1.6 steals, 0.8 blocks. He had like 3 game winners under his belt. He was dominant. He was amazing in college.
For sure, he was dominant. I think that he was good. I think that I just, like I said, he just never blew my socks off on my eye test when I was watching him, especially in the tournament, more so than the season.
And my comparison is light Luka, and I think I see similarities as far as that doesn't pop off. Whereas Jalen Green is an elite athlete he's a lob catching supreme getter. Like John's gonna have fun with that if they get to play a little bit together, because Jalen catches every lob. And he's unbelievable in transition. So is Cade. I just hope that they give the keys to Cade a little early, because in summer league, Killian Hayes was a little, to me, they gave him the ball a little too much in these situations. I think that for the Detroit to be the most successful, you give the tools to Cade, and he makes things happen. One of his downfalls, though, one of the negatives, is his assist to turnover ratio. He had more turnovers than assists in his college career. And that is concerning because as somebody that passes well, how do you have more turnovers than you do assists? And his assist number being 3.5, you expect more than that because he really is a good passer. I just think that he just has so many moves. He's so patient. He's a pump fake king. He puts you on it. He punishes smaller defenders. And then he exposes bigs on the perimeter. His step back is impressive. He had a game in summer league. We had 6 threes. So give me Cade Cunningham. My sneaky other guy though, and I would like to hear your opinion on him. Jalen Suggs of the Orlando Magic is just infectious. To me, he's the coolest guy in the draft. I want to hang out with him more than anyone else. He's so much. He seems so mature. He just came off of leading Gonzaga to an undefeated regular season and fell short in the championship game, but it wasn't due in part to him. This kid infects winning. He's electric on the break, and he's a solid defender. I think that he's got top 3 team defense ability, and his ability to pass full court, his quickness, his ability in the pick and roll. I just love me some Jalen Suggs. So to me, that's my dark horse to win Rookie of the Year. What is your opinion on Jay Suggs and poor Cole Anthony, who I love dearly? I just don't see this ending well as a pairing, and I think that Jalen Suggs kind of alphas him, and we kind of saw that in the summer league that Cole Anthony had some very poor play, and Jalen Suggs did not. He was electric.
So I like Jalen. I think he's solid. I think that Orlando is it's not a place that I would want to be. So that I'm worried about that because the smaller guys have a tough time impacting moments. Like you said, the reason that I can't argue with the Cade thing is Cade is sized ready for this NBA and to not having trouble adjusting to what's going on out there in that way. That's kind of what I worry about with Jalen. I think that the past couple of years we've been seeing people perform in summer league, and it shows us a glimpse of what they'll look like when they're comfortable versus what they'll look like when they first start playing. I.e. like Lonzo Ball dominated summer league, then looked uncomfortable for a while, and now he's getting back around to this time where he understands and is able to basically use his skill set in a way that it benefits the game in the best way. Another thing I wanted to say is that in compliment to Cade, you see Suggs only averages 1 more assist than him. Now, Cade averages more turnovers, right, than assists, but I think that is a result of the fact that Cade is such a willing passer. Meaning a lot different than Luka. Even though you compare him to Luka, I think that he passes to people when they're not in scoring position 150 billion times more than Luka would ever would.
I agree with you. And Luka gets what they call like selfish assists based on that. Look, I'm not gonna I gotta run this. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a Lonzo thing. It's what makes Lonzo a great passer. I think that Lonzo will forever average 6 assists and not be a 10 assist guy, but that's because he's such a willing passer and a great passer to pass to the person to get a
I like Jalen's Suggs in comparison to Lonzo Ball's his ability to pass in transition. I think that his full court ability, I mean, Mr. Football and just his prolific high school football career in Jalen Suggs, it's his quarterback nature is just shown on the court, and that part reminds me of LaMelo and his ability to just drop dimes full court it's beautiful.
Hall of Fame break starter, that kind of thing.
Yes,
that's what they feel like.
So we talked a little rookies, and yeah, we didn't shy away from the top 5. We didn't make any Alfaroon Şengün is going to be rookie of the year. Hey, you never know what could happen. People step up, and sometimes a player gets fortunate on a winning team. We saw that with Malcolm Brogdon when he won his rookie of the year. He might not necessarily been the best rookie in that rookie class, but the Pacers were winning, the Bucks were winning, and it had to do with him.
Right.
So we'll see how this pans out, but I love this most recent draft. I think it's one of the best drafts that I've ever witnessed. I think that these kids we have stars, but we have really, really good ass role players as well.
Good looking rookie class for sure.
My last prediction showdown is who you got cutting down the nets and lifting up the Bill Russell Trophy at the end of the year. That is our NBA Finals prediction. We're skipping past seeding and all that just to get to the goods. Is it what the people want, or are you going to throw a wild card in here?
I don't have a wild card for you. It is the Los Angeles Lakers. the Los Angeles Lakers will be cutting down the nets through all the dysfunction, through all the limited players, through all the age doubt.
They're old, Tweeze. They're old.
Through all the doubt. Now, am I saying there will be a dynasty? No. What I'm saying is that the Lakers will cut the net down this year. This year.
Is it Bron's last one?
This is Bron's last championship.
The last dance.
This is the last time.
Hey, let's get one for Melo, bro.
Unless LeBron plans to be playing in the Vince, in the Carter years, it's over for him winning a championship.
You didn't tell me who they playing though. Who's the matchup?
Who are they playing?
Yeah.
They're playing the Milwaukee Bucks.
Interesting. So you think that they repeat success with a healthy Kyrie Irving going? I'm talking about the Nets, of course, because that's my pick in the finals. But you think the Bucks are they're gonna come back?
I don't think that Kyrie will be playing in the playoffs because he hasn't played in the past 3 playoffs or 4. That's just how I think. I think that the Nets will be, again, one of the most dominant teams in the NBA, but I just don't believe that the way that they're structured so top heavy that any one of those injuries that is bound to happen, it makes it so that they can't win anymore.
Interesting, because I think they got a little bit deeper. They did get LaMarcus Aldridge, who had retired for the sporadic heart rate. He's back. He looked good in a Brooklyn uniform. That couple games that he did play.
Mm-hmm.
They added some new pieces. You got James Johnson over there, willing to fight anybody that comes out there. Little Patty Mills, which I think
I like that pickup
on the low is very tough.
I like the pickup. I think that helps a lot with the Kyrie injury possibility and all that too.
To me, I think that they get lucky and they go and whatever full strength or 80% of their normal self. I don't see them losing again. They lost that game 7 with the KD's toenail being on the line. This was without Kyrie. I think they're by far the most talented team in the NBA, and that's including the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm very scared of Brooklyn. I was very scared of them last year. I constantly wake up at 3:30 in the morning and think, damn it, KD hits another big time shot in the NBA Finals on LeBron James, and I'm crying inside because I would hate for that to happen again. But dude, this is one for the Gipper, and I'm going Game 7, James baby. LeBron James has won the last 6 times in Game 7, and 2 of those being in the finals, in the playoffs. The last time he lost was 2008, where he dropped 45, but was outdueled by Paul Pierce in the Boston Celtics on their way to a championship. So I would love a Game 7 versus the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers. Like, that is what the people want. And do I think it will happen? Probably not. But I can dream too. But I really like 5. We don't want to talk about these things, but 5. And you win another Finals MVP, and then you've done it with 3 different teams. That'd be incredible. Do they have a chance without AD? If AD has any injuries, do they have a chance?
They have a chance to compete, yeah, for sure.
For a championship.
Can they make it? Okay, so this is the question.
My thing is,
can they make it out of the West without AD? Right?
You think so?
I think they can compete. I don't think
they make it to the finals with a hurt AD. I mean, they were up 2-1 against the Suns. He's vital. He is so vital to this team, especially when he goes 5 and LeBron's at the 4. It's the most,
but
the most potent lineup.
If LeBron wasn't hurt, we would have saw something different too, though.
I think so too. I agree with that. But I just think that AD is so damn important in all of this, and teams we haven't mentioned, like Miami's damn good with Kyle Lowry. They had just went to the finals the year before that and had beaten Milwaukee, and they sold PJ Tucker. Like that's actually a big deal. Like I know PJ Tucker averaged 2 points in the finals, but he guarded KD.
DiVincenzo's back.
White Dante is back, and he
was missing. He was very, very good this season.
He was very good even in the playoffs right before he got hurt. I was watching when he got hurt, and I was like, man, I don't know if they make it. But everyone else had injuries, whether it was Kyrie, whether it was Danny Green, whether it's just a young Hawks team, like everybody got hit. The Clippers had Kawhi, the Lakers had LeBron and AD. It's like I'd never seen this before. It was the Suns was the only team healthy, and then CP3 gets COVID right before the finals, which was unfortunate, and he didn't have his best games down the stretch in that series. So any team that has made it the year before, they're in contention. We'll see what happens with Philly, but I think the world wants to see another LeBron KD matchup. Everybody wants to see Carmelo kind of win one. And that's our prediction show. We tapped in a lot here. Next week, we're going to get into a little bit more fantasy talk, get you prepped for your drafts that I'm sure are going to be happening sometime soon. I'm fresh off of 2 league championships last year, so I'm trying to cut down the nets again virtually through the fantasy basketball as well. And we'll be here that entire ride. Tweeze, you got anything to plug? Anything? Where can we find you? And
no, you can.
Thanks for coming in.
No problem, man. You can find me on Instagram at Tweezay, TWEEZAY, and then
Tweezay.
Yeah, you already know. Then go check out Bembo. Go check out Goop Glizzy. Go check out Anton Forever. Go check out KM Mixed by Cam. You can look for that. Check out Locals Only page. It could go on forever. We go to my page and then go from there. Link out.
There you go. Find yourself down that tunnel of click, and follows. We appreciate it for you. Give us a subscribe, rate us. We appreciate you, and some plug talk on some triple play. Wherever you find your podcast, go follow the Triple Play Fantasy franchise. Look out for our basketball, baseball, football pods that drop every week. Our Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel is dropping content every day. This includes Coach's Corner, Movie Minute Reviews, Super Fantasy Bros, Fantasy 15, Between the Seams, Fantasy Foodies. Recently, D. Mindy of our Triple Play Fantasy Football and Baseball pod sat down with former Pittsburgh Steeler, Washington Redskin, and ESPN personality Ryan Clark. Super great interview. Please check it out. He definitely gave us some insight on his thoughts as a player, but also him and this after a playing career, which is super awesome. Check us out on Twitter and IG at Triple Play Fantasy. Thanks again from the entire Triple Play Fantasy family for tuning in. And like always, stay safe. Continue to love the game of basketball like we do, and feel free to share with some friends about the pod. Appreciate you. And
get Jim Jackson on. Get Jim Jackson.
And we need Jim. I know you're out there. It would be the most handsome guest that we've ever had on Triple Play Fantasy. All right, buddy.